If you're over 50 and you've been noticing cold hands, tingling feet, or legs that feel heavy by the end of the day, what I'm about to tell you might shock you. These aren't just signs of getting older, they're warning signals that your circulation is being quietly destroyed by habits you do every single day, habits you think are harmless, maybe even healthy. I'm Dr. Ethan Scott, and I've spent over 15 years as a vascular specialist helping people avoid serious complications like blood clots, varicose veins, and even amputation. In my practice, I've seen thousands of patients who had no idea they were sabotaging their own blood flow until it was almost too late. The problem isn't that you're doing something obviously wrong. The problem is that you're doing things that seem right, things your friends do, things you've done for years without question. But your arteries and veins don't care about what seems normal. They care about what actually works. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which 5 habits are blocking your circulation right now, starting with the one that surprises almost everyone I talk to. Let me tell you about Kenneth. He was 61 years old when he came to see me, a retired postal worker from Ohio who loved spending his afternoons working on his vintage car collection in his garage. Kenneth was the type of guy who took pride in staying active. He walked his dog every morning. He didn't smoke. He watched his cholesterol. He thought he was doing everything right, but when he sat down in my office, he told me something that immediately caught my attention. He said, "Doctor, my legs feel like concrete by dinner time. I can barely walk up the stairs without stopping to rest, and my feet, they're freezing all the time, even in the summer." I asked him to describe a typical day, and that's when he mentioned something that seemed completely innocent. He said, "Well, I spend most of my day in the garage, bent over the engine, crouched down working on the undercarriage. I can stay like that for 3-4 hours at a time. I get so focused I don't even realize how long I've been in the same position." Sounds dedicated, right? Sounds like a man who's passionate about his hobby. But here's what Kenneth didn't know. Every single time he stayed crouched or bent over for hours, he was cutting off blood flow to his legs. The position was compressing the major veins in his groin and behind his knees, and over time, that repeated compression was causing chronic venous insufficiency. When I ran a Doppler ultrasound on his legs, the results were alarming. The valves in his veins, the tiny one-way doors that push blood back up to his heart, were damaged. Blood was pooling in his lower legs instead of circulating properly. Kenneth had spent years unknowingly destroying his circulation, one long afternoon in the garage at a time. He looked at me and said, "If I'd known this was happening, I would have stood up, stretched, moved around. I just thought my legs were tired from age." But it wasn't age, it was habit. And that's just the first habit. The first habit that's destroying your circulation is something most people do without a second thought. And it's this: staying in the same position for more than 90 minutes at a time. It sounds harmless. You're reading a book, watching a movie, working on a project, sitting at your computer, maybe even lying on the couch. You're not doing anything strenuous, so it feels restful, maybe even responsible. You're taking it easy, giving your body a break. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Your circulation doesn't work on autopilot. It needs movement to function properly. Let me explain exactly what happens when you stay still for too long. When you sit or stand or crouch in one position, gravity pulls blood down into your legs. Normally, the muscles in your calves act like pumps. Every time you move, those muscles squeeze the veins and push blood back up toward your heart. But when you stay still, those pumps stop working. Blood starts pooling in your lower legs. The pressure inside your veins increases. And over time, that increased pressure damages the delicate valves inside your veins. Once those valves are damaged, they can't close properly anymore. Blood leaks backward and pools even more. This creates a vicious cycle. More pooling, more pressure, more damage. Within just 90 minutes of staying still, your blood flow can drop by as much as 50% in your lower extremities. And if you do this every single day, for hours at a time, you're essentially training your veins to fail. I had a patient, a retired librarian, who loved her afternoon reading sessions. She'd sit in her favorite chair from 1 in the afternoon until 5, completely absorbed in her books. She came to me complaining of swollen ankles and a dull ache in her calves. When I examined her, she had early-stage venous insufficiency, all from sitting still with a good book. But staying in one position isn't the only problem. Even if you're moving around, you could still be making the second mistake, and this one is even more common. The second habit destroying your circulation is wearing tight clothing around your waist, thighs, or calves for extended periods. And I'm not just talking about obviously constrictive things. I'm talking about normal clothes that most Americans wear every single day without thinking twice. Elastic waistbands that leave marks on your skin. Socks that create indentations around your ankles. Jeans that feel snug around your thighs. Shapewear that compresses your abdomen. Even belts that you tighten just one notch too far. It seems practical, right? Clothes are supposed to fit. A little snugness means they're the right size. But your veins don't care about fashion or fit. They care about space. Let me explain what happens when you compress your legs or waist with tight clothing. Your veins are soft, flexible tubes. Unlike arteries, which have thick, muscular walls, veins have thin walls that collapse easily under pressure. When you wear something tight, even moderately tight, it squeezes those veins from the outside. This creates a bottleneck. Blood trying to flow back to your heart has to squeeze through a narrower passage. The pressure below the constriction point increases dramatically, and just like with prolonged sitting, that increased pressure damages the valves in your veins. But here's what makes this habit especially dangerous. Most people wear tight clothing for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. You put on your jeans in the morning, you wear them all day, you don't take them off until bedtime. That's 12 hours of constant compression. 12 hours of reduced blood flow. 12 hours of valve damage accumulating day after day after day. And the damage is happening in the exact spots where your circulation is already weakest, behind your knees, in your groin, around your ankles. I've seen this in dozens of patients. They come in with unexplained swelling, with varicose veins appearing seemingly out of nowhere, with that heavy, tired feeling in their legs. And when I ask them to show me what they're wearing, I can see the compression marks on their skin. One woman, a retired teacher from Michigan, wore control-top pantyhose every single day because she thought it made her look more put together. She had no idea those pantyhose were slowly strangling her circulation. You could fix both of those habits right now, but they won't help you if you're making the third mistake, and this is where things get more serious. The third habit destroying your circulation is something that seems healthy on the surface, but it's actually creating a hidden disaster inside your blood vessels. And that habit is this: eating meals that spike your blood sugar multiple times throughout the day. Now, I'm not talking about being diabetic. I'm talking about normal, everyday eating patterns that cause your blood sugar to surge and crash over and over again. Breakfast cereal with skim milk and orange juice. A bagel with low-fat cream cheese mid-morning. A sandwich with chips and a soda for lunch. Crackers or pretzels as an afternoon snack. Pasta for dinner with garlic bread. It seems normal. It seems like what everyone eats. Some of it even seems healthy, low-fat, whole grain, fortified with vitamins. But every single one of those meals is sending your blood sugar on a roller coaster. And that roller coaster is destroying your circulation from the inside out. Here's exactly what happens. When you eat refined carbohydrates or sugary foods, your blood sugar spikes rapidly. In response, your pancreas floods your bloodstream with insulin to bring that sugar back down. But here's the part most people don't understand. High blood sugar is toxic to the delicate lining of your blood vessels, the endothelium. Every time your blood sugar spikes above 140 milligrams per deciliter, it triggers an inflammatory response in your arteries and veins. That inflammation damages the endothelial cells, making them stiff and less responsive. Over time, repeated spikes cause those cells to develop tiny cracks and lesions. And when your blood vessels are damaged, they can't dilate and constrict properly anymore. They lose their flexibility. Blood flow becomes restricted. And here's where it gets even worse. When your endothelium is inflamed, it starts producing less nitric oxide, the molecule that keeps your blood vessels relaxed and open. Less nitric oxide means narrower vessels, higher blood pressure, and significantly reduced circulation, especially to your extremities. This is happening at the microscopic level, in the tiny capillaries in your hands and feet, but also in the larger arteries feeding your legs. And because you're spiking your blood sugar 3, 4, 5 times a day, this damage is constant. Your blood vessels never get a chance to heal. I treated a man, a retired accountant, who came to me with numbness in his toes and fingers. He wasn't diabetic. His fasting blood sugar was normal. But when I had him wear a continuous glucose monitor for 2 weeks, I saw his blood sugar spiking to 160, 170 after almost every meal, then crashing back down to 70 or 80. Those swings were destroying his microcirculation. He had no idea that his quote-unquote normal diet was the culprit. Now we've reached the habit that worries me most, because this one is nearly universal, and almost nobody realizes they're doing it wrong. The fourth habit destroying your circulation is breathing incorrectly. Specifically, breathing shallowly through your chest instead of deeply through your diaphragm. You might be thinking, how can breathing affect circulation? I breathe automatically. My body knows what to do. But the truth is, most people over 50 have developed terrible breathing habits without realizing it. They take short, shallow breaths that barely expand their ribcage. They breathe from their upper chest instead of their belly. They hold tension in their shoulders and neck. And this shallow breathing pattern is silently sabotaging their circulation in multiple ways. Let me explain the mechanics. When you breathe deeply, using your diaphragm, you create a pressure change inside your chest cavity. As your diaphragm moves down, it creates negative pressure that actually helps pull blood from your legs and abdomen back up toward your heart. This is called the respiratory pump, and it's one of the most important but least understood mechanisms of healthy circulation. Every deep breath you take assists your heart in moving blood through your body. But when you breathe shallowly from your chest, you lose that pumping action. Blood has to work harder to get back to your heart. The pressure in your veins increases, and over the course of a day, thousands of shallow breaths instead of deep breaths mean significantly reduced venous return. But it gets worse. Shallow breathing also reduces the oxygen content in your blood. When you don't fully inflate your lungs, you're only using about 30 to 40% of your lung capacity. That means less oxygen is being absorbed into your bloodstream. And when your blood is carrying less oxygen, your body compensates by thickening your blood slightly to carry more red blood cells. Thicker blood flows more slowly. Slower blood flow means worse circulation, especially in your extremities where blood flow is already compromised. On top of that, shallow breathing keeps your body in a low-grade stress state. It activates your sympathetic nervous system, which constricts your blood vessels as part of the fight or flight response. Constricted vessels mean reduced blood flow. I see this all the time in my practice. People come in with cold hands and feet, with poor circulation, and when I watch them breathe, I can see their shoulders rising and falling, but their abdomen staying completely still. One patient, a retired nurse who should have known better, was breathing at a rate of 22 breaths per minute. All shallow chest breaths. When I taught her diaphragmatic breathing and had her slow down to 8 deep breaths per minute, her peripheral circulation improved measurably within just 2 weeks. But even if you correct all 4 of those habits, there's still one more mistake that could be undermining everything else. And this is the habit that catches people completely off guard. The fifth and final habit destroying your circulation is staying in climate-controlled environments all day long, never exposing your body to temperature variation. And I know what you're thinking. Staying comfortable is bad for me? How can air conditioning and heating be dangerous? But hear me out, because this is more important than you realize. Your blood vessels are designed to respond to temperature changes. When you're exposed to cold, your vessels constrict to preserve core body heat. When you're exposed to warmth, they dilate to release excess heat. This constant constriction and dilation is like exercise for your vascular system. It keeps your vessels flexible, responsive, and strong. But most Americans, especially those over 50, live in a narrow temperature band all day long. You keep your house at 72 degrees year-round. You get in your climate-controlled car. You go to climate-controlled stores, restaurants, doctor's offices. You never feel genuinely cold. You never feel uncomfortably warm. Your vessels never have to work. And just like muscles that never get exercised, blood vessels that never have to constrict or dilate start to lose their tone. They become sluggish and unresponsive. This is called vascular deconditioning, and it's a major contributor to poor circulation, especially as you age. Let me explain what happens at the cellular level. When your blood vessels are exposed to cold, they release certain signaling molecules that strengthen the vessel walls and improve endothelial function. When they're exposed to heat, they release different molecules that improve flexibility and reduce inflammation. But when temperature never varies, those adaptive responses never get triggered. Your vessels lose their ability to regulate blood flow efficiently, and over months and years of constant climate control, your circulation becomes progressively worse. You lose the ability to adapt to temperature changes. Your hands and feet stay cold because your vessels can't dilate properly to send warm blood to your extremities. Or conversely, you overheat easily because your vessels can't constrict to preserve core temperature. I've seen this in countless patients who retire, start spending all their time indoors in comfort, and within a year or two, they're complaining of circulation problems they never had before. One man, a retired engineer from Florida, kept his house at exactly 70 degrees, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. He was shocked when I told him that his refusal to ever feel uncomfortable was actually making his circulation worse. Here's the good news, and pay close attention because this is important. None of these 5 habits requires surgery, expensive medication, or a radical change in your life. All of them can be corrected with simple adjustments you can start today. I've helped thousands of patients reverse these problems without ever setting foot in an operating room. What you need is knowledge and commitment, and you're already halfway there just by watching this. First action: break up prolonged sitting or standing every 60 to 90 minutes. Set a timer on your phone. When it goes off, stand up if you've been sitting or sit down if you've been standing. Walk around for just 2 to 3 minutes. Do 10 calf raises. March in place. Rotate your ankles. The goal is to activate your calf muscles and get blood moving. If you're working on a project and you can't stop, at least shift your position. Uncross your legs. Stand on your toes for 10 seconds. Flex and point your feet. Any movement is better than no movement. Why does this work? Because even brief muscle contractions activate the muscle pump in your calves and thighs. That pump squeezes your veins and pushes pooled blood back toward your heart. Within just 2 minutes of movement, you can restore 60 to 70% of the blood flow you lost during prolonged stillness. I tell my patients to think of it like wringing out a sponge. You're squeezing the blood out of your legs and sending it back into circulation. Most people notice less leg heaviness and reduced swelling within 3 to 5 days of implementing this habit. Second action: eliminate clothing constriction. Go through your wardrobe and get rid of anything that leaves marks on your skin. If your socks leave indentations around your ankles, they're too tight. If your waistband leaves a red line around your belly, it's compressing your circulation. If you can't comfortably slide 2 fingers under your belt, loosen it by 1 notch. Switch to looser fitting pants, especially around the thighs and calves. Choose socks with non-binding tops. Avoid shapewear or compression garments unless they're specifically prescribed by a doctor for medical reasons. And here's a simple test. At the end of the day, look at your legs. If you see lines, grooves, or discoloration where your clothes were, that's evidence of compression. Why does this matter? Because even modest external pressure, just 10 to 15 millimeters of mercury, is enough to impede venous return. By eliminating that pressure, you immediately reduce the workload on your veins and allow blood to flow more freely. Most patients tell me their legs feel lighter and less tired within the first week of wearing looser clothing. Third action: stabilize your blood sugar by changing what and when you eat. Start every meal with protein and fiber, not carbohydrates. Instead of cereal for breakfast, have eggs with vegetables. Instead of a sandwich for lunch, have a salad with grilled chicken or fish. Instead of pasta for dinner, have a piece of meat or fish with 2 servings of non-starchy vegetables. Eliminate sugary drinks completely, including fruit juice. Drink water, unsweetened tea, or black coffee instead. And here's the key timing element. Stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. That gives your body time to process your last meal and stabilize blood sugar overnight. Why does this work? Because protein and fiber slow down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. Instead of a sharp spike and crash, you get a gentle, sustained rise that doesn't damage your blood vessels. Within 2 to 3 weeks, most of my patients see improvements not just in circulation, but in energy levels, mental clarity, and overall inflammation. You can track this yourself with an inexpensive blood glucose meter. Test your blood sugar 1 hour after meals. Your goal is to stay below 120 milligrams per deciliter. Fourth action, practice deep diaphragmatic breathing for 5 minutes 3 times per day. Here's how to do it correctly. Sit or lie down in a comfortable position. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, making sure the hand on your belly rises while the hand on your chest stays relatively still. Hold for a count of 2. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. The exhale should be longer than the inhale. Repeat this for 5 minutes. You can do this when you first wake up, during your lunch break, and before bed. Why does this work? Because deep breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which dilates your blood vessels and reduces stress hormones. It also activates the respiratory pump, mechanically assisting blood flow back to your heart. And it increases oxygen saturation in your blood, making your circulation more efficient. Patients who practice this consistently report warmer hands and feet, better sleep, and reduced anxiety within 1 to 2 weeks. You can measure your progress by checking your resting heart rate. As your circulation improves and your stress decreases, your resting heart rate should gradually lower. Fifth action, expose yourself to temperature variation every single day. This doesn't mean you have to suffer. It means strategically using temperature to train your blood vessels. Start simple. Take a contrast shower. Spend 2 minutes under warm water, then 30 seconds under cool water. Repeat this cycle 3 times, ending with cool water. Do this every morning. Or, if you prefer, go for a 15 to 20-minute walk outside when it's cooler than your house temperature, without bundling up excessively. Let your body feel the temperature difference and adapt. In the summer, spend time outside in the warmth, then come inside to air conditioning. In the winter, step outside for a few minutes without your coat, then come back to warmth. The goal is to create temperature swings that force your vessels to respond. Why does this work? Because temperature stress triggers adaptive responses in your endothelium. It releases heat shock proteins that protect your cells. It improves nitric oxide production. It strengthens vessel walls. And it trains your autonomic nervous system to regulate blood flow more effectively. Most patients feel their circulation improving within 2 weeks. Hands and feet that used to be chronically cold start warming up. Heat tolerance improves, and overall vascular health measurably increases. 7-day protocol to restore your circulation. Day 1. Set hourly movement reminders. Switch to looser clothing. Start protein-first meals. Do your first session of deep breathing. Take your first contrast shower. Days 2 and 3. Maintain all 5 habits. Pay attention to how your body feels. Track any changes in leg heaviness, hand and foot temperature, energy levels. Days 4 and 5. Continue all habits. Measure your resting heart rate in the morning. Test your blood sugar after meals if possible. Schedule a checkup with your doctor if you haven't had one recently. Days 6 and 7. Evaluate your progress. Note any improvements in circulation symptoms. Adjust habits as needed. Commit to continuing long-term. Keep a simple journal. Write down 3 things every day: how your legs feel, the temperature of your hands and feet, and your overall energy level. This gives you objective data instead of relying on memory or wishful thinking. If after 7 days you're not noticing any improvement, see a doctor urgently. Persistent circulation problems despite lifestyle changes may indicate underlying vascular disease that needs medical treatment. Which of these 5 habits did you recognize you're making right now? Be honest with yourself. No judgment here, just awareness. Maybe you realized you've been sitting for hours every day without moving. Maybe you saw those compression marks on your legs from your clothing and never thought twice about them. Maybe you recognize the blood sugar roller coaster in your daily eating pattern. Whatever it is, the first step is simply seeing it clearly. You did the best with the information you had. But now you know, And now you have the responsibility to act. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. Don't let this video be something you watched, nodded along with, and then forgot about. Your circulation, your independence, your quality of life in your later years, all of it depends on what you do next. Don't leave it for tomorrow. Today, right now, you can do 3 things. Set a timer to remind you to move every hour. Find one piece of clothing that's too tight and replace it with something looser. Commit to starting tomorrow morning with eggs instead of cereal. Those 3 actions alone will start improving your circulation within days. Share this with someone you love. Your spouse who sits at the computer all day, your friend who complains about cold feet, your sibling who's heading down the same path you were on before you learned this information. You might save someone from years of discomfort or even serious complications that haven't started yet. I'm Dr. Ethan Scott, vascular specialist, and my mission is to give you information that protects your health and improves your life. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.